Oh!
Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it.
Coming up, MTV Movies talks all things the Batman.
Shame you didn't have the, nipples.
There are, but you just don't know where.
Why do you pick that role? Do you find them far more interesting than heroes?
No, I just totally picked it because I was looking for work.
He's not working out. He needs to be cancelled.
Hello and welcome to MTV Movies. We're here to talk all things the Batman. With me, the Selena Kyle to my Bruce Wayne, Thanyia Moore.
Hi.
Hey girl. We are insanely excited to be back in Gotham City to see Matt Reeves' vision for the Caped Crusader. But first things first, I went to hang out with Batman and Catwoman themselves, R-Pats and Zed Kravitz, because that's what we're calling it now. Here's how it went.
I like that a lot.
Rob, I know back in the Twilight days you had a few airbrushing tricks to give you the abs of steel. There's such a pressure on superhero bods at the moment. Did you feel that pressure when you were getting in shape for Batman?
Oh yeah, it's Batman. I mean, like an idiot, I tried to do an interview where there's an English, when people always ask about working out, and I think because of English, it's always kind of embarrassing, like saying, I always want to tell people I never go to the gym because I think that's cooler. And then you kind of undersell and over-deliver.
Yeah, you're like, I just look like this.
And
then people freaked out, right?
Yeah, and everyone was like, he's not working out. He needs to be cancelled. Put him in the cancel bin. But I get it. People, there's a lot of homoeroticism with Batman, and, it's necessary.
It's a shame you didn't have the, nipples that George Clooney's Batman had in Batman and Robin.
There are, but you just don't know where.
I love how this film kind of deconstructs the superhero archetype. Was it important for you, Rob, when you were signing up, that it would kind of push back against the Messiah complex that is so inherent in his hero stories?
Yeah, I mean, there was something about it which I always found quite interesting because Bruce has the wealth, but he's kind of retreated inside himself and he's kind of basically living in this ivory tower. That's why I really liked what Matt did, completely taking away the playboy persona he normally has. I was trying to do the same about that kind of being an exiled royalty where you feel the power and the wealth, but it's not connected to the city you live in at all. So it's kind of the ghost of power which he has inside him. And also it kind of worked really well with Batman with Bruce thinking he's solely responsible for the fate of his city and trying to figure out how to let go of that Messiah complex in a lot of ways and try and figure out how to integrate himself with other people. And I kind of thought that really connected with his family legacy and what legacy means and blah, blah, blah. And I thought Matt did it in a really clever way.
Lots to unpack here, especially as the film is just shy of 3 hours long.
It's for you, Batman.
Okay, Thanyia. Hello? Okay, official synopsis. When a killer targets Gotham's elite with a series of sadistic machinations, a trail of cryptic clues sends the world's greatest detective on an investigation into the underworld. You got that? Okay. So that was a star-studded lineup. We've got John Turturro, Colin Farrell, Paul Dano, Zoe Kravitz.
Jeez.
Too many to count. But what do we think about our man, the Bat?
I mean, I thought it was a good job done, but let's be honest. If I walked in here now like this and then came in a Batman costume with the exact same behaviour, you'd know it was me. I knew it was him. How did no one else know it was him?
He's super emo.
No, he just had on eyeliner and half a mask.
I really like him. I love Robert Pattinson. I'm a bit of a stan. I've loved him since Twilight.
Yeah.
Twilight stands out there. I represent you. But I think he did well. I really like this version where it's kind of a bit brooding. It kind of demystifies him as this playboy character. It really shows this kind of proper dark, introverted, yet extroverted as Batman.
Yeah.
I also think it really did well to kind of deconstruct the vigilante complex. We don't really talk enough about when superheroes inspire people for the wrong reasons. And I think this kind of version really cuts into that Messiah complex.
I don't care what happens to me. I'm vengeance.
But what do we think about his voice? Apparently, when Robert Pattinson was first doing it, first couple of weeks, he tried to do a whisper, but they were like, stop that immediately, stop doing that, it's terrible.
I mean...
What's your, do you think he kind of nailed the voice?
When he was Batman, I appreciated the air of it.
Yeah.
When he was Bruce, I was like, just talk, babes.
It's like, Alfred, can you get me a salad?
But I know you're hungry, but do you have to sound hungry?
Of course, as the old saying goes, behind every great Batman is an even better Catwoman. Or something like that. Anyway, here's what the Bat and the Cat had to say.
Zoe, it is a pretty male-dominated environment, especially for DC. Catwoman is aching for her own one after Halle bringing her into life. So would you want one, and who would be in your gang in your ideal solo movie?
Oh, God. I just want to get through these and see what happens. I don't know if I'm ready to do my own yet. I mean, to be honest, she's not even Catwoman yet in this movie, so I think we just gotta get her there first, and then we can see if I can carry my own. We'll see what happens.
Who kept spirits up on set?
Matt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a long shoot, and it was really amazing showing up to work every day and having a director who was so excited to be there. He's the ultimate Batman fan, and he was, no matter what the scene was too, it could be a huge action sequence or a very simple scene with two people, and he was always just so excited, and that really helped.
You could literally be walking down a corridor and be like, oh!
Oh, I love it, I love it, yeah.
So Zoe Kravitz is a new Catwoman, a screen role previously held by Eartha Kitt, Michelle Pfeiffer, Halle Berry, and Anne Hathaway. Did you think she owned it?
I think she did well. It was very much giving me Kitten. And that's kind of where her character is based. She's coming into her own. So I felt like she was coming into her own.
I think that she lacked a bit of that vivacity. Is that the word?
Definitely.
Vitality?
There wasn't enough oomph.
Yeah, I think I wanted maybe a bit more of her to be a bit more sure of herself, not just in the kind of fighting scenes, but also like against Batman. There's a few scenes where they come together and you're like, in the comic book, she can outsmart him and outwit him.
Right.
And it just felt like, let's make sure Batman is the number one.
It felt that way.
Yeah. One thing I would recommend though, if you're into Batman, why don't you check out some of the animated films? They're very good. And there's one called Batman Hush, which actually has a little bit of kind of like aesthetic crossover with this film. But what I like about this movie is it has Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle in bed, getting it on a little bit.
I don't think about superheroes and think, oh, how do they get down?
This is why you need to read the comic books, because they are R-rated XXX. I mean, look at
superheroes and I'm like, save the world, please. Hannah's like, save the sheets.
I'm like...
Tell me what your thoughts are.
I think it couldn't be as sexy as it wanted to be, because I think Batman, this version of Batman, Bruce Wayne, he's just a bit like introverted. The guy just looks like he has not been laid at all.
Yeah.
Compared to like Christian Bale, which obviously, as we said, he's leaning into that playboy, turning up with models, and all that type of thing.
I got you! I got you!
Hey, it's Hannah from MTV.
It's Hannah, slated.
Colin, you're no stranger to a comic book villain. Why do you pick that role? Do you find them far more interesting than heroes?
No, I just totally picked it because I was looking for work, and I had been familiar with Matt Reeves' work from Cloverfield and from what he did with the Apes films. And when I heard he was going to be exploring the world of Gotham and creating the next Batman film, and he wanted to talk to me about it for the Penguin, I got so giddy. Just the fanboy in me got really excited. And then we spoke, and that was it. It was, it was really a no-brainer.
What has been the most formative Batman film for you to make you fall in love with him as a hero?
The first Burton. The age that I found it. Batman, to me at the time, and I think for many people, was an incredibly relatable character, because even if at 12 or 13 you're not fully contemplating the injustices of the world that exist everywhere, even by that stage you have a sense that the world is not, and that's part of what it is to grow up, a loss of innocence as a result of realizing the world isn't a fair place for so many people. And Batman straddles that line between justice and injustice, and he's also a man. There's no superpower, so there's not that distance between the audience and him. But when I saw the first Burton film when I was 12 or 13, it meant a lot to me, yeah.
It's a very camp film as well, not like this emo.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's not as camp as Joel's. And while this has a very particular aesthetic to it and is designed to within an inch of its life, our film, because Matt Reeves is so meticulous and so passionate about this world, it does feel like what Matt said he was going for from the start, which was it feels very grounded and feels very real and very hard-boiled. Penguin,
he's a bit of a gangster. Were there any mobsters in real life, characters from screen that inspired your portrayal?
Every single gangster film I have ever seen, from Casino to The Godfathers, and then a couple of New Yorkers that I've met through the years, a couple of shifty, dodgy New York characters that I've met down on the road.
Colin Farrell there, the original Batman fanboy.
And Thanyia Moore, the original Colin Farrell fangirl.
She is.
So tell me more about why you liked this penguin.
Funny, the comedy was there. Because as we said, it's a dark movie. So when you can take moments that should feel weighty and make them light, I really appreciate it. It's not easy, so thank you.
Okay, let's talk about the Riddler, because it's the first time we've seen him on screen in this way since Jim Carrey's iconic, flamboyant, colourful, camp version in Batman Forever. How do you think Paul Dano's holds up?
I think he did a great job. It's hard to take such an iconic role and then make it your own is a task. I feel like that was done. And towards the end, I really appreciated all of the, I want to say the crazy, but those last scenes, I was like,
Yeah.
like really like, go, go, go.
And I think also, like, this is a very violent film.
Yes.
And he is violent and kind of maniacal. Like, you really feel like this guy could just switch.
At any time.
And the fact that Paul Dano, you look at him, he's just like this everyday white dude. You're like, oh God, that's quite scary.
Yeah.
But, you know, obviously this is going to set up for a new world. And what's so interesting is that it's come so closely after Justice League.
Yeah.
We've had the Suicide Squad, and those have established itself within the same universe. What do you think about this? What would you hope for in the next film? Would you want to see characters from the other DC franchises coming in? Could we see Aquaman, Shazam, Harley coming over?
I wouldn't mind seeing more relationship between Batman and Alfred.
Yeah.
I think there's something in that. There's Alfred holding kind of a lot of answers to some of the questions Batman has. There must be more around this relationship. How did they get to this place where they're in now? I want more from that.
Now that we're on what, 6th, 7th Batman,
Yeah.
I want to see characters from the comic books that have not been explored in live action. There's so many, and I think maybe Court of Owls would be really good to see. There's several characters that have not been given the big screen treatment. But I have to say, like, if they're gonna do it any more like Harley Quinn animated series, that would be amazing. That one is an R-rated series. It's funny, it's dirty, and it has a ridiculous amount of characters.
There's a theme with Hanna.
I'm with Pedro Almodovar.
Nipples and grit.
I think Pedro Almodovar had it right. They're sexless, and I feel like they should be sexy. So tell us your thoughts on the film and what you want to see from the next 2 installments. Do you want to see more Catwoman? Do you want to see more Penguin? Do you want to see more Thanyia Moore? I do. Please subscribe below and leave us all of your thoughts, especially on what you think the future has in store for the great, the bad, and the ugly of Gotham City. We'll see you soon.
I'm vengeance.